Proverbs 26, as snow in summer, and as rain in harvest, so honor is not seemly for a fool. As the bird by wandering, as the swallow by flying, so the curse, causeless, shall not come. Now this is talking about whenever someone curses another, a causeless curse. It's a curse directed towards someone in whom does not deserve to be cursed. It shall, as it were, spend its force in the air, and fall not on the head on which it was invoked. Verse 3, a whip for the horse, a bridle for the ass, and a rod for the fool's back. Just as a whip and a bridle are used to try to correct beast, so is discipline, even harsh discipline, used for a fool. And now we come to verses 4 and 5, which seem to be apparent contradictions involved right here. It's not at all. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou be also like unto him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. Well, first let's deal with verse 4. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him. In other words, do not lower yourself by disputing or arguing with him. He will not take in your meaning and will think he has got the better of you, perhaps will even insult you as a result. But now let's go on to verse 5. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. These are two sides of a truth. To answer a fool according to his folly is in verse 4. To bandy words with him. To descend to his level of coarse anger and vile abuse. So whereas verse 4 is the general sense, you shouldn't really answer a fool, but verse 5, it gives specifics with if you're going to answer a fool. In verse 5, it is to say the right word at the right time, to expose his unwisdom and untruth to others and to himself, not by teaching beyond his reach, but by words that he is just able to apprehend. Verse 6, he that sendeth a message by the hand of a fool cutteth off the feet and drinketh damage. Now, of course, the verse is a warning against putting anything important into the hand of a fool, like a king's message, if you will, but also relying upon them to do an important task or a job, anything of that nature. You may only damage the entire situation because they're probably going to mess it up somehow or another. The legs of the lame, verse 7, the legs of the lame are not equal. So is a parable in the mouth of fools. Now, as we know, the wise are the only ones to be entrusted with parables. Jesus used parables more than anyone that I've ever known about, ever. And what a parable is it's a simple story that holds under it. It's kind of like the tip of an iceberg. You'll find a huge treasure of wisdom right underneath it. And such very important and deep things cannot be entrusted to a fool. They'll barely even gather what the parable itself is at face value, let alone the things underneath. Verse 8, as he that bindeth a stone in a sling, so is he that giveth honor to a fool. Now, to bind a stone in a sling, we know that just like David and Goliath, whenever you put a stone in a sling, it's meant to be cast. But if it's bound within the sling, then it's useless. And the entire point is that giving honor to a fool is pointless. And verse 9, as a thorn goeth up into the hand of a drunkard, so is a parable in the mouth of fools. For any of you in whom have ever been drunk before, like myself, then you'll know that you can go about and pick things up, especially if you're outside. You can pick things up, wander around, just doing stupid, meaningless things, and suddenly you might pick up a thorn or something that'll injure your hand. Well, the very same happens with a fool. A parable or proverb in the mouth of fools is not only useless, but injurious. Verse 10, the great God that formed all things both rewardeth the fool and rewardeth transgressors. And now for a verse in which Simon Peter quotes in the New Testament, as a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly. Seest thou a man wise in his own conceit? There is more hope of a fool than of him. So Solomon, he's going beyond that of describing a fool right here, and he says that the self-righteous, those in whom are wise in their own mind, the self-righteous are worse than fools. And perfect examples of these self-righteous types are, of course, the Pharisees of Christ's time. They felt themselves in no need of a Savior. They felt themselves perfect in God's eyes. They obeyed the law. They never went to work on the Sabbath and all that, but they missed out entirely on the spirit of the law, in which Christ is trying to teach them the entire time. They say, we never work on the Sabbath. Jesus says, man was not made for the Sabbath. The Sabbath was made for man. It is good to do good on the Sabbath. That is the spirit of the law. And truly, there is more hope of a fool than for the self-righteous. Because a fool you may convince of their wretchedness and their need of a Savior and how they're sinners and how they're on their way to hell. But a self-righteous man, he believes that he's perfect. He has no need of a Savior, reliance upon another. He's doing all the work himself. There is more hope of a fool than of him. The slothful man saith, there is a lion in the way, a lion is in the streets. As the door turneth upon his hinges, so doth the slothful upon his bed. Now this is talking about the hinges on a doorpost and how they go side to side, just like a lazy man on his bed. The slothful hideth his hand in his bosom, it grieveth him to bring it again to his mouth. The sluggard, once again the lazy man, is wiser in his own conceit than 7 men that can render a reason. Now 7 is a total number, meaning that if there is a group of people and every one of them agree and the truth is blatantly obvious to everyone, you still got an idiot that will do no studying, no research of his own. He just goes with whatever is in his thoughts, and he says, nope, this is right. The sky's really green because I called it green. It's not really blue. He that passeth by and meddleth with strife belongeth not to him, is like one that taketh a dog by the ears. This is talking about those in whom, like, walk by and you and your wife are having a bit of a dispute, and then all of a sudden they butt in and want to meddle in between you two. They're just like taking a dog by the ears. And just as Ellicott commented, such a man deserves to be bitten for his pains, the usual result of interfering in quarrels. Verse 18, as a madman who casteth firebrands, arrows, and death, like a crazy person with a bow and arrow just shooting wildly. So is the man that deceiveth his neighbor and saith, am not I in sport? Like, I'm just joking with you. He does a harm to his neighbor and then he laughs it off like it's a joke. And this deceiving may entail that of slander, like you're slandering your neighbor to other people, and then your neighbor finds out and you say, oh man, I was just joking. Verse 20, where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. There's nothing left to burn. So where there is no talebearer, the strife ceaseth. Get rid of someone in whom keeps spreading rumors and talking bad about everyone. As coals are to burning coals and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. Burning lips and a wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver dross. Now catch this one right here. We've already went over this one about how much that rumors and slander can deeply, deeply wound its victim, especially if they're not true whatsoever. But burning lips and a wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver dross. Just as Albert Barnes commented, lips glowing with affection, uttering warm words of love, these burning lips, joined with a malignant heart, an actual evil heart, are like a piece of broken earthenware, potsherd, these useless things. Like a piece of broken earthenware from the furnace, which glitters with the silver drops that stick to it, but is itself worthless. He that hateth disassembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. Once again, 7 is a total number, and that means his whole heart is abominable, no matter what kind of words that he speaks. Whose hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. They'll soon be found out, no matter how wicked someone is. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. A lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin. Basically meaning that if someone is lying to you, then they have some kind of hatred in their heart, some sort of animosity towards you about something. And the very last part, that of a flattering mouth, is just another type of lies. Just as Matthew Henry commented, there are two sorts of lies equally detestable: a slandering lie, the mischief of this everybody sees, that of spreading rumors and everything, and then a flattering lie, which secretly works ruin. A wise man will be more afraid of a flatterer than of a slanderer.